Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. It's Charlie's birthday. Ooh. Yesterday.
Yeah.
40 years young.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you
I
feel?
look pretty good for 60.
We're getting the little jabs in early.
Yeah.
You old fuck. I'm slightly older than you, so I can't really say anything. But yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts, doesn't it?
You are pretty old, to be fair.
I'm pretty old. Yeah.
Hopefully they realise
I'm
how
status.
ancient you are.
Well, I was young when I started full fat videos. What was that, like 6 years ago? 7 years ago? I was youthful. Right?
Yeah, your pretend online age.
Oh, I was on the right side of my 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't think I've ever officially said my age. I might have given it away in, saying what age I was at certain times films came out. Maybe you could detective.
Yeah, I'm
my,
sure.
my age, but
Yeah.
maybe I could just keep lying.
I'm sure nowadays you could just easily Google anyone's age, really. You probably got it on your LinkedIn, you know what I mean?
Well, someone we know yesterday,
Oh, yeah.
I'll keep it honest with the podcast, said that they thought I was 25. So,
Someone we know?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll tell you after. Yeah.
Wow,
I thought I was 25.
Yeah, you are very immature, to be honest.
Maybe that was it. Maybe they thought maturity rather than, yeah. But I was like, I'm going to take that away to the bank.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
25?
Yeah.
Motherfucker, you look 30. But yeah, good birthday.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, it was good. Very chill. Didn't do too much. Watch some movies. Yeah.
I don't care. Daredevil.
Motherfucker.
Daredevil.
Oh, he set me up lovely. I fell for that one so hard.
What's funny is the first time we filmed this, before...
What do you mean? we only film this. This is all we do.
The imaginary first time we filmed it, where I made a technical mistake, I did give you time to talk about your birthday.
You did, yeah.
So I baited you with that as well. Like, you thought it was going to go the same way.
And then he acted like there was a problem with the podcast and we had to redo it just to get that gag in. This is the level of commitment. This is the level of commitment.
Fair, yeah. That's some Batman
I respect it.
level
I respect it.
But yeah, we are going to talk about Born Again.
Yep.
Episode 3. And Mickey 17 and a bit of the old Marching Powder, not the drugs live on air. No, the film with Danny Dyer, directed by Nick Love. Nick Love.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah,
Who'd have thought? Full fat podcast.
But before all that, I would just like to say, if you're watching on YouTube, then please subscribe. Put the old notification bell on. If you like full fat videos and you like the podcast, then why not subscribe? And you'll get notified every week when we drop a new full episode. You'll get Daredevil Born Again week to week. And then eventually, I think when the finale airs, we go straight into Doctor Who. And then before that finishes, we go straight into Andor. So there's a lot of goodies to come. Like this video and leave a comment what you thought of the episode, or indeed Mickey 17, or indeed Marching Powder. And for legal reasons, I need to say again, the film, not the narcotic.
Don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe. Your mothers, your sisters,
Brothers,
your
uncles,
brothers,
the
your
whole
cat's
family.
nan's dog.
Yep, your dad's sisters, uncles, chiropractors, nieces, nephews, friend.
They're probably the most important.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dead or Born
back
Again.
to the studio.
Back to you in the studio. Today we're going to go through the top 5 wanks.
No,
yeah.
seriously.
Seriously.
I'm joking.
No, that was his name, Rufus Rice.
Oh yeah, we saw that video. That was funny.
He already... I watched the video and I was like, you sent me
He nailed
top
it.
5 wanks.
Nailed
Yeah,
it.
every single one I was like, yep,
Yeah.
that's probably like a perfect top 5 wanks.
Yeah.
Couldn't do any better
I mean,
myself.
yeah. He nailed it. It's not even worth talking about. He like literally.
He nailed it 5 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, Daredevil Born Again episode 3, the White Tiger case, kind of continued on from episode 2. Some shocking revelations, particularly a shocking twist at the end, which we'll go into. Full spoilers, by the way. Another episode where I was saying to myself, put on the suit.
Yeah.
There's curfew rounds. Kind of mad that he only has had the suit on the opening of episode 1. We're now 3 episodes down. That's the only suit action, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. I know there was like some reshoots, right? So I wonder.
Well, the creative overhaul, we sort of see. It's been reported that the episodes that were done from scratch was the new episode 1
Oh yeah.
and the final 2 episodes, and that what originally was episode 1 was last week's episode 2, and today's episode 3 was originally episode 2.
Oh, I see. That, do you know what's interesting? That kind of makes sense, I feel, because I feel like so far the first episode feels a bit like an anomaly.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Karen Page, Foggy,
Yeah.
and like Bullseye, all the holdovers from the previous show.
Non-stop kind of action,
Yeah.
the suits on.
Yeah.
It's
kind of weird.
Yeah, it's
I feel
weird.
like it's definitely worked. And it's definitely helped that they did that first episode, because I got satisfied with a big opening action sequence. I'm not wondering when's he going to put on the suit.
Yeah, because I feel like they knew that, because I feel like if we was sitting here first episode, we'd be like, okay, is he even going to put the suit on? Because he's not really even flirted with it.
It's going full legal drama.
Since, yeah.
It's interesting because I do remember seeing rumours when the overhaul was happening that the original showrunners were booted off because it took too long for him to get into costume, and it became more like a legal drama. And then having watched these first two episodes, which are now 2 and 3, definitely feels like there's a whiff of that, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Like it's not even kind of in the plan. I know he's fiddling with the horn, which I think is also a reshoot.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the actual dialogue and the stakes, it's all about the legal drama, isn't it?
Yeah. To the point where, like, in this episode, I was thinking, is this going to be the whole season? Is this case, going to be the whole thing? And obviously it isn't by the end, but
I think it's gonna heat up.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of footage in the trailer of him in different action sequences suited up. So I think it is. I think next week, surely, he's gonna suit up.
I do, though, think it's an interesting idea that we're getting kind of this back and forth rivalry between Fisk and Daredevil using kind of different means other than like punching each other.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, I kind of like that he's seeing what he's doing on the news with the lawsuit. He doesn't like it. They're kind of fighting against each other without fighting against each other, kind of thing, which I think is a really cool idea. Yeah.
It's also interesting because I guess that in this point in the original pre-overhaul timeline, they wouldn't have even met again yet, would they? Because they have that cafe meeting in the first episode.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So I guess it would have been a lot of like,
oh
Fisk is mayor. Like, when are we going to bump into each other again? But I like that they had their meeting in episode 1. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think let's talk about like the case.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting case, and I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was good.
Same.
I thought it was punchy. I liked when they had to get the witness in and they bait and switched the cops. Also, I just think it's an interesting thing to tackle with like having these corrupt cops and having White Tiger sort of stepping up and trying to help a citizen out, and now he's gotten put on trial for it. And the fact that these cops have kind of got like Punisher tattoos. I think we're going to delve into that whole
I'm really
side.
interested in that, yeah.
Yeah, like the corruption of the Punisher logo, kind of mirroring some events of real life.
Yep.
And yeah, it seems like quite heady stuff to get into the show. So I like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like last week we touched on the fact that it was a bit funny that one of the characters was just like, well, Your Honor, he wasn't wearing his magical amulet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought about this straight away when that happened.
They doubled down on it this week.
Yeah.
Because they're like giving an address to the jury, and they're like, well, you know, he didn't have any of his powers at the time.
And the jury are like this,
Yeah.
And he's like, he went out without his magical amulet, you know, he went out without it. It's like, you know, going outside and trying to get into a fight with one arm behind your back.
Yeah. That's a good point. He didn't have his magical amulet.
It felt all very serious, the music's serious, and
Yeah.
I'm like sitting there like, this is hilarious after what we had.
But then is it one of those things I was trying to think, like, it's a sci-fi world as much as Star Wars, it just looks more like our world. Like
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So much outlandish stuff has now happened in the Marvel Universe.
It's
Like,
the smallest thing that's happened in
Yeah.
the Marvel Universe. Yeah,
like if I was watching Star Wars and a character was like, yo, a Jedi just arrested someone outside, I wouldn't be expecting everyone to go, whoa, that's so like outlandish.
Yeah,
or
so
like
true.
have a funny reaction to it. So like maybe I should just accept a bit more like, it's the Marvel Universe. Like if I'm reading a comic, I'm not as picky about stuff. It's just when it's in live action and it's trying to strike a certain tone.
Yeah, especially when correct me if I'm wrong, but in the first sort of couple of seasons of Daredevil, you know, none of that stuff's really kind of happened, right?
Well, the first season, I remember there being like, awkward mentions of like Avengers characters by name, not by name.
Yeah,
like they called the Battle of New York the incident.
Oh, they did, yes.
But even that is kind of like you're kind of, for people that know,
yeah,
that's the Battle of New York. If you don't know, then it doesn't take you out of it.
No,
Whereas like being like, Your Honor, he didn't have his superpowers.
yeah,
it's just kind of silly.
Yeah.
But I don't think it necessarily detracts from the episode.
No, it doesn't at all. No, I agree.
I just thought it was a great performance from White Tiger.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
From Hector. I don't know if you know this, but the actor actually passed away while it was being filmed.
I did hear this. Yeah, that's sad as fuck.
Really sad.
Yeah,
Rest in peace.
Yep.
I think this is his final work.
that's crazy.
It's also obviously, I guess that they couldn't have planned it, but it is kind of crazy that I don't feel like we got enough time with him, and I think everyone can agree that we wanted more from him. And obviously, we could never get more from the character because unfortunately the actor has passed on.
Yeah.
But also in terms of the story, the decision to kill off the character, it is a twist.
Yeah.
It is ballsy. I don't necessarily mind killing off characters before their time because I think, if you like a character, it's kind of what I was saying about Foggy last week. Like, the fact that we're all like, oh, it kind of sucks he's gone. It's like, that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
So I did get that kind of feeling a little bit with White Tiger. But at the same time, we've just introduced a brand spanking new vigilante.
Yeah.
And shot him in the head.
Yeah.
And that's all she wrote, I guess.
Yeah.
I was actually legitimately shocked they did
Yeah,
that.
same. I was shocked they did that, but I also think it's the perfect setup for the next episode for him to put the suit back on, because it's like we tried doing it the legal way, we even won legally, and still, dirty tricks are happening.
Yeah.
He's been killed. All right, I've learned that even though I'm trying to do it the right way, I can't just do it the right way. I have to put the suit on. I have to go behind the backs of the legal realm.
There's a lot to unpack there because, well, one, there's like 4 White Tigers in the comics. So I think they're actually setting up someone else could take on the amulet.
Oh, interesting.
Possibly. I don't think it's the last we've seen of like that mantle.
Yes, yeah.
It also leads the Punisher to coming in because they made it look, which I thought was quite cool as well, that as if the Punisher maybe did it.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to reveal that it's one of the corrupt cops wearing Punisher garms. But also, something that I've seen people say seemed quite out of character, and I'm not inclined to disagree necessarily. I was really wondering how you felt about this, of him outing Hector as White Tiger in the courtroom and revealing his secret identity is basically the reason why he gets killed.
Yeah.
He kind of signs his death warrant, and it's really interesting as a guy that has a secret identity. It would ruin his life, put his loved ones in danger, put his life in danger to come out as Daredevil. Kind of mad that he does that.
Yeah.
And even Hector says, like, you could have asked me. And he's like, well, I'm sorry, I had to, like, bring out some big guns. It's like, yeah, but it wasn't really your secret to tell, was it? Like, it's kind of crazy for Matt to do that.
Yeah, like how much of the case was him wanting to help Hector, and how much was him to try and prove a point against Fisk or the legal system that he could beat them in using these means.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I also think that it's kind of like, I'm not sure of, because he puts the mask back on. He tells him, you can't do that after you do this, and he still kind of puts it on. I don't know how much of that is also just like, is it because he outed him that he gets killed, or is it just like, if he didn't put the mask and suit back on, they wouldn't have killed? Do you know what I'm saying?
Because I guess Kingpin, it was intercut with him saying, like, I can't have vigilantes in this city, in my version of New York.
Yeah.
So maybe we're going to find out that he was going to let him live, and then Kingpin actually put it on. But then also the cops could have acted of their own accord, because they don't want him kicking around, do they? Even if he's White Tiger or not, or just Hector. I feel like he was marked for death the moment they did that to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. I think it's a lot of fuel for Matt to work through. I'm sure there'll be a lot of religious guilt coming up.
Definitely.
But it's interesting. I would listen to someone make the argument that it was out of character, because I do think it's strange for one superhero to out another.
Yes.
Not really fair, and not his choice to make.
Yeah, no. But then, I do also think at the same time that he is kind of like he was on the back. That was the last straw, right? Like, he probably should have asked him probably at least first.
Yeah.
But as soon as that guy comes out and doesn't admit that he was an informant,
it was good that I thought it was a great scene when the informant like bottled it.
Yeah.
And like they did all that to get him there. It was quite a fun, tense scene, and it's like, oh well. This is the thing I think is funny about Matt is like he doesn't realise I'm putting these people up here, like they're not superheroes. Like this informant is also going to be marked for death if they come out and say this stuff in front of the whole police force. And he's just kind of frustrated. It's like, well, I do kind of see where he's coming from at the same time. Like you're painting a
He's got
massive
no protection.
target.
Like
No.
he'd have ended up just like old White Tiger if
100%.
he'd have said something.
So
So
that's kind of interesting as well because he, as far as I remember, he survives the episode, doesn't
Yeah.
he? The informant. So kind of a bit of dichotomy there of do you do the right thing and you essentially sacrifice yourself
Yeah.
to do that, or do you keep your head down and live to fight another day? But yeah, I thought it was funny. It's not too much to dig into this episode. I think it feels like an episode 2.
it does, and it feels hopefully like next week is where the kind of there's when they do this in shows where it kind of feels like this is the episode where things really start. Like almost as if
Yeah,
I feel like that's the case, unless they're gonna I don't know, draw out. But I feel like this definitely feels like the setup to like, all right,
yeah.
you're gonna get your Daredevil next week.
It's bittersweet. I would like to have seen White Tiger A use his powers
Yeah.
and B just meet up with Daredevil.
But I think now you said that, I definitely think that there's gonna be more White Tigers,
Yeah,
especially because we're still cutting to those interviews, which I think is really interesting this season. We keep cutting to these lot of sort of people interviews, and you had like people like being like, oh, he's Puerto Rican, that's why he doesn't get a fair shake and all this.
Yeah,
I could see like
it's weird about killing him off though, because it's like he's kind of like a bit of a Puerto Rican Black Panther in that like you don't have a lot of Puerto Rican superheroes.
Yeah.
He's kind of that one. There's a lot of parallels to him, Black Panther, and also to sadly the passing of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, so true. Yeah.
Not kind of really getting to do as much of those characters as they could have, whilst also being kind of a beacon to people that feel reflected in those characters. So I just thought it was a very off the wall choice to kill him off so soon.
Very interesting, but I do think that someone from a Puerto Rican descent is gonna take up, like you said, the mantle.
Yes.
I think there will be someone. Did they mention he had a son or something like that? I don't know, something like that. Did we see the son as well? I don't know if we saw the age of the son.
But I really liked him and that character. So
Yeah,
it's a
he was
shame.
good. Yeah, it's a shame, but
Obviously, rest in peace. I think his
Yeah.
name's Kamar de la Rios.
so did it happen halfway through shooting, or just as it finished?
I believe he'd shot his stuff, but he was battling cancer while they were filming.
So I wonder if how much of it was like. Did he say that he was battling cancer while they was filming? Did they know?
I think they knew. Oh, what are you saying? Like, 'cause obviously he dies masked up.
Yeah.
Whether that was
Him
a gear change.
or and it's kind of like, like we still want the White Tiger in the show, but obviously we can't have the same guy. Can we swap him out? Because I don't know.
Would it be disrespectful though to be like, our actor's passed away, so we're going to change the script and shoot him in the head?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's also true. Yeah,
Because obviously, like, it's the character, it's not him, and
Yeah,
he's
so
done a great
true.
job, and
That is true, yeah.
And the character's there to fulfill a story.
yeah,
But I think it's just unfortunate that was the character's story, and then he passed away because it seems like all the stuff we've discussed is setting up. It's setting up the arrival of the Punisher in the show.
Yeah.
The Punisher and Daredevil teaming up to take on the corrupt cops of New York and the Kingpin. Like, I feel like it's setting up way too much for it to have been like a gear shift.
yes, yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah,
But I guess maybe we might know more. It's certainly interesting every week finding out more about the creative overhaul. And just specifically knowing that episode 1 and the last 2 episodes were done from scratch. Because this does feel like a bit of a different show. Like, when I was watching it, it's like his new co-lawyer and like the ex-cop.
Yeah.
It's like they're the new Karen and Foggy, really, aren't they? So it's like he has got a new cast of characters. Obviously, Kingpin's only in scenes by himself.
yeah,
So it feels like maybe, this was the show.
Yeah.
And then the stuff from the old series that's in episode 1 is just there to bridge the gap. But I do think they've done a good job of tying them together now.
so far, yes, I
Because
agree.
even though those characters aren't there, it feels like a continuation.
Definitely,
I think if it had just been last week's episode 2, episode 1, it would have felt off.
I agree. I don't think we'd be as excited. I think that first episode was still the strongest for me.
Yes, yeah.
Well,
I'm enjoying it.
yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. How many episodes is it this season?
So I think it's 9, so like we're just below halfway next week, aren't we? Once next week's done.
Yeah, and they did they reshot the last 2 episodes as well.
Yes, but I think at one point they announced 16 episodes before the overhaul, and then I think they shot a couple of them, wasn't working. Then they reconstituted it into this shorter season with the new beginning and ending.
Oh, okay.
Is what I understand.
Okay.
So I think it's less of a case of it's going to feel like half season and more like the episodes they filmed were like what the last 2 were. Where it's like one contained story,
I see.
and then they just decided to like have to
Put it better, yeah.
But I also think it's interesting. It's kind of a reverse of X-Men '97 where the creatives that have come on board that are making it better are going to be sticking around for next season. So if the first episode and the last two episodes are the best episodes of the season, I think that bodes well for season 2 where they're doing the whole thing.
True. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
But I hope that that it feels like a
Yeah, I don't think they're going to drop the ball. It seems quite obvious.
Yeah, definitely.
I do need a bit of the filth next week. I need a bit of that Daredevil action. I need the billy clubs. I need the swinging.
yeah.
And the beating and the glare and glare. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Simpsons reference in 2025. Come on, that
Well, that's
show.
twice. That's two. You did one last week as well.
Did I? It lived on the pod.
Yeah,
What did I do?
I'm pretty
You're
sure
like
you
a fat
did.
dad, Homer. You're like a fucking loser. Like Homer.
I'm pretty sure you referenced Marge somehow. Maybe I made it up.
Did I? Maybe I
made
did.
it up.
Maybe I did.
Maybe that's just...
Homie, there's a turkey behind the bed.
Yeah, I think you did do like an impression because you went on a mad one last week. Didn't you, with the
We did have a
impressions?
mad one.
Yeah.
There's been a lot less like looking to camera, but maybe that's
Yeah, but we're building up to that.
we're building up to that. Yeah, we're building up to the
we
comedy.
can't spoil it.
Should we move on to Mickey 17?
Let's do it.
The latest from Bong Joon-ho. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Of course, the director of Oscar-winning Parasite, Snowpiercer, Mother, Okja, Memories of a Murder, which I haven't seen, you have, and Host, fantastic monster movie.
Yep.
All
bangers.
Yeah, Hits from the Bong, I believe.
Hits
the
from
title
the
is.
bong. Yeah. We're a couple Bong Joon-ho's, aren't we?
We are a couple of Bong Joon-ho's.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, banger director.
Yep.
Great taste. Loves Vin Diesel's Pitch Black. That's his good.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Great choice. Great choice. And speaking of sci-fi, this is like, I guess he's done Snowpiercer and Okja's kind of science fiction elements, isn't it? But and Host as well.
Yep.
This is a full-scale space sci-fi.
Yep.
Kind of unlike anything he's really done before. I would say.
Yeah, big budget English language as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great premise. Mickey is tasked with becoming an expendable. No, not the Sly Stallone trilogy. No, it's quadrilogy, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Came out.
We saw.
Oh my god.
We saw it though.
Yeah, we saw
we
it.
did see
We
it.
experienced.
We experienced.
Expendables
Oh god. Yeah.
in all of its mediocre glory.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an expendable, which means that basically he's tasked with doing the jobs that are so death-defying that they need to basically sign a waiver to say that if you get killed, we'll regrow you. And he dies 17 times before we really get to the meat of the story, hence Mickey 17.
Yep.
But then there's an issue, isn't there, where accidentally another Mickey gets made, a Mickey 18. And then, before we go into full spoilers, I think I'll leave it there and just say it's got kind of stylings of Okja, isn't it? It's kind of about the wretches of capitalism in a spacey future, and also kind of what makes a person, I would say.
Yep. Definitely.
With the contrast between Mickey 17 and 18.
Yep.
Non-spoilery, before we go into full spoilers, I enjoyed it.
Yep.
I think I enjoyed it more than you. Would you recommend someone go see it, despite of some of the things I think we'll get into that maybe you didn't like?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I still enjoyed the film. I don't think it necessarily is as good as some of his other work, which we'll go into in a bit. But I think it's a good original story with some great ideas in it. Just for me, some of all the ideas don't necessarily all come together for me, and without spoiling, some of the ideas I would like to have explored more than we did. But really fun. Robert Pattinson's incredible. He's absolutely amazing in this movie. Almost, he's one of those actors for me that morphs without changing his appearance necessarily.
A lot of the time, I think the heavy lifting is changing his voice.
Yes.
I didn't realize until he pointed out in an interview, he never uses his normal accent, really.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to do it.
No, yeah.
Which is amazing.
He's amazing.
Like, I never even thought
No.
like he's always playing Americans or...
But he's always different.
Yeah.
He's always different.
Like he based this voice on Steve-O.
Steve-O, and you can so see it. And I think it's such a great bit of sort of acting to bring that in because it's because Mickey 17 is, he's killed a lot. He's
Yeah,
put him through incredible stunts, death-defying stunts.
Hi, I'm Mickey 17.
Yeah.
This is Jackass.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it's like he's even doing like the narration of like it. So it felt right that he did like this Steve-O impression.
Yeah.
Which I thought was ingenious. I thought it was genius. Of him
Should we say full spoilers from now?
Okay.
Because we're dancing around all the.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I do agree with you. It's a lot of ideas.
Yes.
I think someone could potentially be disappointed in that, like, the premise of a guy signing up to be killed over and over again to do corporate work is its own film.
Yes.
It doesn't even need to be in the future.
100%.
And just having fun with all the ways he could die is its own film.
Yeah.
So I do get that the film is that, but it's also something else.
Yes.
And then it's also something else on top.
Yes.
And then there's other little tiny bits sprinkled in as well.
Yes.
So I could see why
Yeah.
you could call it disappointing.
Mm.
I struggle to call it a mess. I think the ideas work together quite nicely.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a mess. I would say maybe jarring at times, maybe. But I wouldn't say it's a mess. No, I think it does. They do flow within each other.
By the end of it, it becomes something else, in that the crux of it is not only the duplicates of Mickey, but the native creatures on the planet.
Yes.
They are presented as these kind of gross Peter Jackson 2005 King Kong-esque monstrosities that are going to eat you. And then, well, the reason why we end up with two Mickeys is because it turns out they're herbivores, aren't they? And they're quite benevolent and they're quite intelligent. And they save Mickey, and he ends up having to go back to the ship. And in that time, they've already 3D printed a new Mickey.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a great setup.
Brilliant setup. I really liked that. And I liked how they kept playing with like Mickey 18, and then it's like, oh no, he's was Mickey 17 we're following.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? For the
yeah.
majority.
Yeah.
I like how it kept teasing us like, oh, he's dead. Oh no, wait, no.
I love that Mickey 18 is like, is it the id or the super ego? Like the three parts of yourself.
Yeah.
Bit pop. I'm going a bit pop psychology, but yeah, like he's kind of like the most confident, almost like Tyler Durden version of him, isn't he?
Yeah.
That gives no fucks, will be willing to die for what he believes in.
Yeah.
Bit of a sigma male, as the kids say. A bit of a goat. Whereas Mickey 17's a bit more.
A bit of a coward, more of a coward.
Yes,
He's frightened by
yes.
things. Do you know what? This is a question I want to ask you. I personally don't feel like that was explained enough for me. And I also feel like he is so different to him that I found it like it took me a while to kind of realise that that's what was happening.
Really? Because
yeah, go on.
well, I think that's kind of the strength of the film, in that like it makes you look back on the previous Mickeys who we kind of skip over, and you start to wonder, did every single one of them have a distinct personality?
Yeah.
And actually, this whole idea that you can regrow a person is obviously corporate bullshit.
Yeah.
And that it speaks to how the monetized systems that Mickey's caught in are completely stripping him of his humanity.
Yeah.
They don't care. They know already that duplicating yourself, reprinting yourself, is essentially death, and some other man's going and sauntering off.
Yeah.
But they don't care. They need their bottom line. And maybe he has been distinct every single time. Or I like the idea that it's actually just like the fact that he's been duplicated has given way to this more confident version of himself. It's kind of like split him in two a little bit, rather than just, by virtue of there being another version of you to face yourself.
Yeah.
Is that what brings out a different side of you? And of course, like, we're different people all the time. I love the quote from, I think it's Stephen Moffat, talking about, like, when he talks about the Doctrine of Regeneration, of like, you're a different person not only throughout your life as you develop, but you're a different person when you go down the shops and talk to the shop owner.
Yeah, 100%.
You're a different person when you talk to your mum, to your friends. So like, I think it's playing on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. I think, again, to jump in time to like not only when Mickey 18 sacrifices himself, he has that moment of fear that makes him just like Mickey 17. But also, I love the resolution to Mickey 17's story where he imagines that, what would Mickey 18 do? He'd tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, I like that. That was nice. Yeah.
He is both Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, and Mickey 18 is both of them as well. Like, they're the same person.
They're the same person together, yes, yeah.
But it is just different sides of who you are.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I actually took it because of a side story that we go on within the movie. that every time, and I think they discuss it, the scientists discuss it at one point.
You can. We're going full spoilers now.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I feel like we're both sort of going. There's a thing that happens in the movie.
No, I'm about to go into it. I'm about to go into it.
You mean the founder when he duplicates himself? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, So the idea that basically there's the founder duplicates himself and he's almost becomes this like serial killer, right? I wondered, the way I took it was that every time you duplicate yourself, you lose like a part of your soul. You become something that's stripped away necessarily of like the human feeling and emotions, to the point where that guy is literally enjoying killing people. Right. And you see Mickey 18 has kind of got a bit of a fetish for, or not a fetish, but like he likes the idea of killing and hurting.
That's interesting to me because I like that idea.
Yeah.
But obviously there's nothing. The 3D printer doesn't know if the previous version's alive or dead, right?
Yeah.
So you're almost kind of speaking more to like the idea of it going from science fiction into like more fantasy of like the soul is being split.
Yeah.
Because they do talk about that, don't they?
They do
like,
talk about the
someone
soul,
who's against the whole idea of it,
yeah,
when they're talking to like Congress, is saying like there's only one soul.
Yeah.
And I do think that kind of lends credence to that, because that is basically saying that like, yeah, the reason why this happens, but it doesn't happen when you just straight up reprint one to the other, is because their soul has been shared, hasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I guess maybe his soul kind of comes back together when Mickey 18 passes on.
Because I think what I like about it as well is I feel like Mickey 17 teaches Mickey 18 a lot. Because as throughout the movie, Mickey 18 becomes more emotional, more loving.
Yes, yeah. Particularly to the creatures as well.
100%. Yeah, so I that's the thing. I actually love all this stuff, and I think what I found difficult when I was watching the movie was it feels like it starts like 3 times. So with me, it was like, okay, this is the movie. It's about this thing. Oh wait, no, it's about this kind of like love triangle that we'll get into.
It's a lot of ideas.
Yeah, and then it's this. Oh, actually, this whole anti-capitalist kind of idea at the end.
Mark Rumpelo.
Mark Rumpelo. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I also wanted to, something I noted. Do you know what an extremophile is?
No.
So an extremophile is like this tiny, like I think you need to see it on a microscope. It's like a tiny little bacteria thing, and it's the only thing that I think if you can put it into space, you can put it in any sort of atmosphere, and it can survive. Right? Okay. It's like immortal, essentially. This thing, right?
It's like an atom. It's like a bug-looking thing, but essentially it's earthly.
Yeah, but basically it looks like the monsters. It looks like the monsters,
that's
and
cool.
I wondered how much they got that from that design, because the whole time I was watching the film, I was like, it looks like an extremophile, like really badly. Okay. Well, I think the extremophile is the term for like these certain bacteria. I think there's an actual name for this certain thing, but I can't remember the name.
Any microbiologists want to write in?
But But yeah, if you type in extremophile, the first thing that comes up, the image, that's the thing I'm talking about. It really looks like it, and I wondered how much that was played into the design, because they look very similar to me.
I loved the whole production design.
Loved it.
Loved the shit. Loved the like. They've got that kind of like those kind of Star Wars outfits, haven't they? The troopers, like specifically like the troopers you see in like Solo. Where it's not quite the stormtroopers. It's like that. It was very evocative. I loved that. Yeah. But I loved most of all those creatures.
Loved them.
Because they were disgusting and terrifying and creepy. And I don't like insects. Yeah. So when they were coming for him at the start to eat him, I was like, oh. Yeah. And then they become so sweet and cute. Yeah, and it's like they're still kind of gross,
but also like, scary.
They are scary,
because when he's talking to that big one, I thought it was genius bit of like filmmaking
at the end.
At the end, when he's talking to the big one, the only time we see that thing's face is he literally recreates the shot from The Ring, because it's the hair coming down the eye of the thing. It's the exact same shot of that terrifying jump scare from The Ring. And I thought that was so smart, because I was like, all right, you're playing on film language of a film that we've seen before, but you're using it for a cute animal that is also threatening, that it could be terrifying. It could do something.
I hadn't thought of The Ring first. That's cool.
And I thought that was really cool. I kept thinking about it. I was like, they've definitely done that. He's done that on purpose. That's really cool.
I also love that it plays with the idea like, I totally bought that they could break up.
No, same.
I didn't disbelieve it for a second. I'm like, yeah, they could definitely do that.
That was so good.
I also just loved how it's like, they're cute, but also like, they're a bit mammally, but they're also a bit insect-esque. But also, like when their main like husk is over their eyes, it's like an elephant eye.
Yeah.
But then when they open up, you realise those eyes are actually on like snail stalks.
Yeah.
And like they actually look more like crustaceans.
Yeah.
Like I just thought that was such an interesting, innovative design.
Yeah.
And also like they are what the whole movie hinges on, even more than like the dual Mickeys working.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
if you don't find them cute and you don't care that they're going to get murdered, the movie doesn't work at the end.
Yeah.
And it is more Okja than I thought it was going to be in that.
No, same. It's actually quite a optimistic movie. It's quite an optimistic film.
Exactly.
Like Okja. It has a happy ending. Yeah, it's a very optimistic film. And I just want to clarify that my kind of issues with the movie are kind of weirdly positive in that I like all the stories. I just felt that, and I like all the ideas. I just felt like them together, the pace was affected for me. It was like I kept starting, oh, this is what it is. Oh, this is what it is. And I'll be interested to see how I feel about it on rewatch. If that, do you know what I mean? Because sometimes when you watch it for the first time, it's like, you're okay, this is what the movie is.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, this is what the movie is. And I was kind of jarred by that, and it kind of made it feel a lot longer than it was, which I was quite surprised by.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's generally it's like you an idea is posed in a film, and you're like, oh, that's really interesting. Let's explore that, and then we don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
even the founder with his duplicates,
that stuff.
That could be its own movie.
Yeah, no,
Like, it's
100%.
kind of bad how many parts of this could be its own movie. I mean, like even like just a woman being like, "Oh, my boyfriend's been cloned, but I want to kind of make this throuple work."
Yep.
Is amazing. Like
The whole time I was watching it, I was thinking of that script that you wrote a while back that we were talking about, and I kept thinking like that's kind of what I almost wanted to explore more of. Where I'm like, but I feel like we still could weirdly.
Do you think? Because I feel like when I was watching it, I had that pit you have in your stomach when
You're like,
you
are they going to
think?
think?
Idea.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it's kind of a little derivative of that.
Yes, but you
Maybe,
explore it
yeah.
more.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it first.
Yeah,
guys. Yeah. You did call it that before. Just say. All right.
I mean, it's the whole clone thing. I just specifically like the idea of like someone having to contend with like this. There's a duplicate of my partner,
And getting jealous with that.
but also can we make this work?
Can we make it work?
with the
Yep.
three of us, rather than like it being like a rivalry?
Yeah.
Let's try and actually do this thing. And they
Yeah.
kind of touched on that in this, but also like it's funny that the other woman's like, well, if you've got two Mickeys, you should share.
Share. Yeah, well, that was hilarious. Yeah. The confidence.
Robert Pattinson, the lucky man that you are. The lucky man that you are.
I also think that it makes you question at points whether she likes him for who he is, or whether she likes him. Well, I don't know if half of this for the idea that she knows at one point there could be a possibility where there's two of them that she can have.
I don't think she thought there could be two. of
But
them,
then there's a point where it shows you her being there, him being there for him every time.
Oh,
he
when
gets
he's like
killed.
getting gassed.
Where I was like, oh, okay, she definitely does love him. She definitely does it for him. But there was a point where I don't know if it was intentional or just me, where I felt like I was like, oh, does she actually like him for who he is, or is it the drug that's kind of, because they were taking those drugs away? Because it was a point where it kind of felt like he doesn't really know who she is.
Well,
Truly.
I thought it was kind of. It was interesting the movie ended up going that way. I don't know if this is intentional to sort of like subvert it, but
Yeah.
the way she's into him, and I know he looks like Robert Pattinson. He looks gorgeous, but he's a doofus.
Yeah.
He is a Steve-O.
Yeah.
The fact that she was so head over heels for him, and she was like super competent, and he's incompetent. I was kind of at one point like, is this some sort of setup? Like, are they like, has she been told to start a relationship with him to keep him sweet, so they can keep doing all this stuff with him where they keep killing him?
Yeah.
But then it turns out it's not that.
No.
And like the kind of reveal almost that he's like, yeah, if I think back, there's all those times where like when he's getting gassed in that experiment, and she's like, I just want to sit there with him, and like she really does love him. It's very sweet.
It's very sweet. Yeah.
And I like that she loves every part of him, whether he's split apart or not.
Yeah.
She doesn't love Mickey 17 any less than Mickey 18, because Mickey 18's a bit more like confident and and hyper masculine. Like she's still like, I like you
100%.
as who you are.
Yeah.
All that stuff's really good.
I really liked that. Yeah. Definitely.
And I guess like we've covered all the bases apart from SNL's Mark Ruffalo. I don't know if you saw my Letterboxd review, but I really was getting Mike Myers vibes the whole way through. There was something about the way he was like going like this and had like the teeth. Like I just felt like a character Mike Myers would create.
Yeah.
Like it felt like Mike Myers could have played that role.
Yeah.
And I would have loved that.
Yeah, I would have loved that. Almost to the point where when you said it, I was like, I think that'd have been better. Because
Yeah.
here's the thing. We're getting to the Mark Ruffalo, right? I love Mark Ruffalo as an actor. I think he is brilliant, and I think him in Poor Things was one of the funniest things we've seen in years. And I feel like
So good in Poor
he's
Things.
so good, and I feel like Bong Joon-ho kind of cast him in this because of that. It feels like he's kind of playing a similar type of role for Mark Ruffalo, what Mark Ruffalo does. I just felt like his character didn't have the layers that his character has in Poor Things.
Do you think that's more performance or script?
That's true. It probably is a bit of the script, so it's not necessarily his fault, because I think he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. But I just think it just felt like such a caricature to the point of like, it made me like cringe a bit, not in a good way. Like where I was a bit like, this is so on the nose that it was like he was just so mustache twirly that but not even, I wasn't necessarily laughing with him and you're enjoying it like I am with Poor Things, where like he's mustache twirly and like over the top, but he's like also like there's points where I kind of feel sad for him, and but this is like I feel like he's
a
he's an
cult
old
leader,
he's an
neo-Nazi.
He's like so evil.
Yeah.
I think that's what I struggled with. He's so evil. There's not even an ounce of like almost humanity to him that I found kind of. I don't know. It just took. I don't know. I just didn't. I find it grating.
I kind of see what you mean, because obviously, like there's shades of Trump there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, people that like Trump find him super charismatic.
Yeah.
And I feel like even people that don't like Trump will often say like, "Oh, that was funny that you said that thing."
Yeah.
This week, I think it was like everything is computer. Did you say that?
Oh yeah.
You said everything is computer.
Yeah.
So I think maybe there should have been more shades of that.
Yeah.
But also, I did think there were points where I felt like when that guy like screws up off in Mickey 17, and he's like poisoned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, "No, you don't need to quit the position. Be strong in your failures. Like don't worry about it." And he's like, "Oh, thanks for believing in me and stuff." I'm like, I kind of got there in that moment why people are galvanized around him.
Yes.
I get it less so when like he's giving a speech and he's like talking to his wife like he's fucking this up. But it is a high-end universe, and I do I do think he was a fun character.
I saw the attempt. I don't know why it just didn't hit for me. I feel like you could have really had some fun with that character. And I found it a bit like, oh, okay. Like just a bit.
It was stretching it a bit when they're like driving into like the hordes, and he's like, "Where's the big one?" It's like, I'll be fucking shitting myself to go out there. Like,
and I
these
get
giant beasts are gonna tear you apart.
And I get they're playing on the absurdity of like these leaders being like so stupid and like kind of, think with their ego and not with their smarts or whatever. But I just feel like, I don't know, it just felt a little bit, I don't know, it just didn't work for me as well as like, even like Tilda Swinton in Snowpiercer. That's like a perfect example of like that kind of thing where she's like this heightened kind of like character. I think it gives her like
But then this is way more comedy, isn't it? I feel like maybe the Ruffalo kind of works there. I don't know. I do see what you mean. I do think his best moment is when he kind of gets a bit serious and he says to Mickey 18, like, "You're afraid to die."
I agree.
You're afraid as well.
Yeah.
Like after all this, that's what you're feeling right now. Like, this is it. You're not getting reprinted.
Yeah.
That was a good moment.
That was a good moment. Yeah. I agree.
I always think good things touched on with all of that is kind of a scene that comes in at the end that I was like surprised ends up being a dream or a vision. But then I was happy about that because I like that it's got a happy ending. Yeah. And I think that it does work for the story. But I do think, again, another idea that could be a whole film is the kind of altered carbon idea that the super rich would use this to make poor people work for them indefinitely.
Yeah.
But of course they would use it for themselves to make sure they're immortal.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that like they kept sort of saying like, "Oh, it's disgusting to reprint yourself." They sort of take like a moral stance against it. The whole time they were doing it across the film, I thought, is this going to go the way that like they say all that to their followers? Because obviously they don't want everyone reprinting themselves.
They don't want everyone to have that
it's
tech,
probably costly and it probably takes a lot of resources.
Yep.
Whereas if they secretly say to themselves, "Oh well, yeah, I'm backed up every week, like all carbon, and I get reprinted if I die," that makes a lot of sense to me, in the context of that world. So it seemed like a twist that made sense when it turned out Hereditary. I'm completely blanking on her name.
Tony Collette.
Toni Collette is alive after she was supposedly dead, and that she's also reprinting Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
It's fine that it turns out to be a dream,
Yeah.
and that's not actually the case. But I do think, again, like, the movie could have just ended the way it did, and you could have worked in him sort of taking a lesson from Mickey 18 a different way. But the fact that it's actually like, oh, here's this other great idea in the last 5 minutes, that's actually also a dream.
Yeah, that was another thing that kind of I felt throughout of like, and it was just another point where I was like, oh, what again? Like, like even to the point where I started to think, all right, well, how long is this movie? Like, I was like, is this another whole thread now?
Yeah.
And again, like you said, the idea of that is interesting, and then it's like, oh, it's taken away. Okay, no, actually, this was it. And I think you're right. I think it almost takes away from the moment of that ending weirdly, even though I know he tries to set up the whole red button thing, you know, him being afraid, like he pressed the red button with his mum. Yeah, and then he's got to press this red button at the end and the blood, and I get that, but I feel like you said, I feel like there could have been another way, because it did feel a bit like when it ended, it was like, oh, now it's ended, because we had that kind of injection of adrenaline back into the story to then just like, oh no, it's done. Do you know what I'm saying?
But I do. But at the same time, I do just love the idea that he's like in this terrible vision. What would Mickey 18 do? He tells her fuck off.
Yeah, I did like that as well.
And now I'm going to push the button.
Yes.
Like, that arc is really nice.
Yes,
It's just it's a bit of a shame. It's like, again, that could be its own movie, or its own TV show on Netflix starring Joel Kinnaman and Anthony Mackie.
yeah. But this is the thing. All this said, and like, all these problems I've had, like, I love that this film exists, and I love that Bong Joon-ho is like putting all these ideas, and he's like truly experimenting. And I feel like I'm so glad that he got the budget to make this movie.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of Wilma Kristen, I think everyone should go see it, regardless, because I think it's a fun movie. I do think it's a film that I could see me liking even more on rewatch. I don't necessarily think it's. I'm not saying it's. By the way, I'm not saying it's bad. Like, I enjoyed it. I thought I was gonna love this film. I thought it was gonna be easily the movie of the year. How's anything gonna beat it?
It's the follow up to a Best Picture.
Yeah,
which is always.
It's always the way. It's always the way. Yeah. But I'm very glad it exists, and I think it's another win on his filmography. That being said, so. But yeah,
a common Bong Joon-ho W.
Yeah, very common. Yeah.
Common Matt W. Common Charlie L.
Yeah.
Will they get there if they don't know our last names?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah.
Basically, my last name begins with a W. Charlie's last name begins with an L, and there we have it. Nuanced. Speaking of nuance, Nick Ladd's Marching Powder.
I love that we're finishing on this.
Yeah,
me
too. Yeah. We'll go, highbrow to lowbrow.
Yeah.
Not that that's necessarily bad.
No, we love it all. We love it. We are true lovers of the cinema.
Yeah.
No.
I had a fun time with this movie.
Yeah, we laughed. We laughed.
We speak about delicate arcs with Mickey 17. This is a movie that, full spoilers by the way, the character goes through all these changes, tries to get off the drugs, tries to do right by his wife, and at the end he's like, yeah, well, it can all wait till Monday. Bosh! Credits. Written and directed by Nick Love.
Yeah.
That's the kind of movie this is.
I'm pretty sall I think I've seen. So I saw. He did The Football Factory. He did.
Did he do the Firm?
The Firm. He did The Business. I've actually seen all of them. And I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure that they all end with the characters like not really learning their lesson.
Right.
Because this one in particular is the exact same ending pretty much to Football Factory.
This is my Nick Love virginity.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not familiar with the Nick Love canon.
Yeah. Which is wild that I am. I don't know.
Also, the Nick Love canon is not a phrase.
We've invented it now.
Hi, I'm Nick, and this is my love canon.
Do you think Day Dies played the same character in all of them? Like,
it's
like an alternate shared universe. Yeah.
I hope so. It makes me want to go back now.
Yeah. Well, I think my dad, because we would see it with my dad and my brother, and my dad showed me a lot of these movies when I was growing up, and I feel like he thought that it was like a sequel to Factory.
Really?
I think there was a trailer that said like from the maker of Football Factory, but I think he saw that and thought
They would definitely market it that way, wouldn't they?
yeah.
And he's playing a similar character.
And he's like the older version.
Danny Dyer is a good actor, though. I do think he's underrated.
I think he is. I kind of want to watch that series he's in at the moment, where he's got the Tash. It's supposed to be really good. There's a series out of him, and he's apparently really good in it, but I've not seen it. Yeah, I think it's like set in the 80s.
He's a bit of a national treasure, isn't he?
He is. He's funny. He is funny. Yeah, you can't.
And he plays characters like, they might be a bit odd, but they've always got like a vulnerability to them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I do think that was sort of misrepresented that he plays like a half man. When like if you actually look at it, he's always a bit of a wally. Like he's always a bit of a numpty. Like he does take the piss out of himself. I think, and I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, he's not.
Although it is still the classic like. He's 45. He's a loser. Anyway, here's his smoking hot wife.
Yeah.
Who loves him inexplicably, even though she's got hot art teacher Lex Shrapnel, aka John Tracy from Thunderbirds, just like standing right there.
Yeah.
What was his name? Vaughan.
Vaughan, yeah, of course.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that they have an argument. She turns over. Immediately, I'm going to text Vaughan. Give me some attention, Vaughan.
Yeah.
Oh, Vaughan was just like the douche, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was the douche.
Yeah,
it was great.
This film, though, that being said, we laughed a lot. But it is Old Man Yells at Cloud the movie.
Oh,
isn't it? Isn't it?
Nick Love he might be the most anti-woke person I've ever met. He's so anti-woke, it's incredible.
The whole film is basically anti-woke.
The whole thing is like him yelling at like young Gen Zers like with glasses and like art degrees.
Yeah.
And they're all like massively caricatured.
Yes.
That's the thing is missing. It's like, we've all met like a kind of douchebag, ultra like political, doesn't really mean what they say.
Hipster kind of,
Probably went to private school and now they're lecturing everyone else on how to live their lives. Kind of art degree douche. We've all met that guy.
Yeah.
And they are in the movie, but they're all like kind of like extrapolated to such a ridiculous degree where it's like they're just cartoons, aren't they?
Yeah, Nick Love believes anyone who wears a flannel shirt and has a beard is that guy.
Yeah. And everyone who, that guy looked at me funny across the club, I'm going to bottle him. They're all fucking legends. None of those guys can have like douchey moments.
Yeah.
Case in point, one of them just straight up knifes a guy.
Oh yeah.
And then we're meant to feel sorry for him.
We're supposed to feel sorry for him, yeah.
It's like he gets knifed later on in the movie.
Yeah.
And I just turned to Charlie and went, all in all, he probably deserved that.
Kind of deserved it.
Yeah.
He's kind of a bit
no
thick.
need for him to stab someone, was there?
No.
And I know he's obviously like, he's got some mental health issues and some like they sort of they give him nondescript learning disabilities.
Yes.
But he still knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows not to carry a knife
and stab people.
Into a firm battle and So that whole part of it was silly.
Yes.
And politically it's so like hilariously anti-woke kind of classic conservatism from Nick Love but that's what makes it funny.
It does.
I feel like he's just grabbing me through the cinema screen and telling me what his stances are. No nuance. But this is what I came to this movie to see. It's called Marching Powder.
Exactly.
There's moments where like he answers a door covered in cocaine and someone says hi and he goes very. Possibly one of the best lines. But I cared about his relationship with his wife. I wanted to get together at the end, and it was funny. It made me laugh.
Yep.
It breezed by.
We laughed more than 3 times, and if you laugh more than 3 times, it's got to have some sort of,
Is that a thing?
I think so. I think that's a thing. Do you know what I mean? I think if you laugh more than 3 times at a film, I'm like, well, could have been terrible.
Yeah. Like in terms of what it's set out to do. It works.
It did. I do think there's a lot of jokes where it's like, oh, I said a naughty word. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But at the same time, there is a couple like that one where it's like, that's actually quite funny. And we did laugh. But also, you're laughing a lot at just like the sheer sort of preposterousness, if that's a word. Of just the situation.
It's you're
Do you know
right.
what I mean? Like how ridiculous this is.
And all the characters are so fucking God, they're awesome, really, aren't they?
Everyone's like a Mockney, like every second line is a fucking apple and pears. Yeah, I mean,
it's that
fucking
it's that Guy Ritchie Mockney thing of like in movies where every character says something Mockney. Actual Cockneys or people from like the East End or whatever. Not everything they say is, yeah, I just popped up the apples and pears, and God, he's doing my fucking Sweden.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like they don't say everything like that
No, yeah,
every
yeah.
single second of the day.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Well,
such an extrapolation.
Even my dad, who I would consider a Cockney man,
Mm.
he was saying to me that like he was like, I haven't heard people refer to cocaine as dicky since like the 80s. Since like the 80s. He was like, that's such an old term. He was like,
Yeah,
no one
yeah,
calls
yeah.
it that anymore. But then the movie constantly calls it dicky more than any other cocaine slang
yeah,
word,
yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah.
And he was saying to me, he was like, yeah, that is such an old term.
I mean,
Like,
I've never
that's
thought
what
of that in my life.
I've never heard of that
Yeah.
until the movie.
I just
yeah.
call it breakfast.
Lunch and dinner.
Snack. The new film by Charlie Love.
Snack.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing that like I think like proper classic gangster movies like Get Carter or like Sexy Beast. They have moments where they'll say things like that.
Yeah.
But they'll punctuate those moments because they won't be talking like that all the time.
Yeah, they're kind of almost like taking the piss out of this sort of movie.
They are, but they're also like there's an authenticity of like the character. Do you know what I mean? Like you're a big man, but you're in bad shape.
Yeah.
That's more authentic to me as like a Cockney geezer.
100%.
than, oh yeah, fucking yeah. Gone up the apples and pears, had a Sherman, fallen over, done me fucking shit.
Yeah.
And then I had a bit of dicky afterwards.
yeah.
Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
I'll fucking have you all on right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
It's so
like,
true. It's so true.
Who are these people?
Whereas like you said, like they'll slip it in now and then in like Sexy Beast, they'll say a couple of terms, but it's like that's how those people
Yeah,
talk. It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
every 5
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
And whenever you see someone that talks like that, you're always like,
Yeah,
Joey's like,
yeah.
that's not how people really talk.
Roundtree, like the sweeties,
Sweeties.
like Shaft.
Yeah.
Banger movie.
So good. That's a classic. That is.
That's a classic, Jake.
Yeah.
We made a classic. Where the fuck is everybody? But yeah, this has been the Fullback Podcast. Mickey 17, Marching Powder, Daredevil Born Again. Watch it all again. Go back to the start of the video. Just watch it all again.
Watch it all again,
Yeah.
over and over again. Keep it on loop. Go see the movies in that order.
Yeah.
Because I believe they're like considered a trilogy, right?
Yeah. It's
They're
kind
like
of a
a-
loose trilogy, isn't
Yeah,
it?
they're like spiritual successors to each other.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Catch it all. Next week, I think Black Bag.
Yep. Black bag.
No, just to put all your thoughts in.
Oh,
rubbish.
oh,
Absolute
just
rubbish
to
from start
put-
to finish. Yeah.
God.
Next week, we get a different guy in.
You're gonna Mickey 17, mate. Charlie
We
17.
get Mr. Splash in.
Well, if you want it to be really bad,
Oh, but yeah, this is
and hopefully, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
No,
We'll do some more.
You'll chat some more shit.
That's
right.
Oh, Joe, I forgot what I was gonna say now. I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, about Riverton. Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I was just going to sign us off.
Yeah.
Sign us off. Unless you got any more tidbits you want to add.
Well, you might as
It's your
well. I mean,
birthday.
you might as well spit some more gold because apparently everything that comes out of your mouth is liquid with fucking dynamite.
That's right. It only took you, what was your birthday? 29 years.
Yeah.
To finally
To realise, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, well,
I've
yeah.
been telling you since the playground. Liquid gold. Alright? Just constant, like, witticisms. Gold. Genius.
Help me. This is what I have to deal with, guys. I have to try and rein this man in.
Was it Bradley Cooper does in that movie? I'm reining it in. I'm reining it in. Yeah, this has been the Fullback Podcast. Please subscribe, like the video, and come back next week. Please. I'm reining it in. I'm reining it in. I'm reining it in.